It's time for the absolutely... I'm on my way! Completely... I'm almost there! Random... Why are there so many stairs? Podcast. Oh, jeez! With Andrew Rhodes. Heat wave! Ah! It's too hot in my room! Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew Rhodes, and welcome to the absolutely, completely random sauna, I guess you could say. Welcome to the absolutely, completely random podcast, where it is currently a balmy 95 degrees with 33% humidity, and I feel like I'm in the fucking Bahamas. Whew! Man, I am sweating worse than Miss Piggy at an all-you-can-eat pork buffet. And man, is it not a good thing. But, the heat aside, just want to get this out there, though. If you do hear my box fan in the background, lowly humming, you know why. It's trying its best to keep me cool. I'm also keeping an eye on my laptop so it doesn't overheat, because my cooling pad is doing a good job, but I don't think it's doing a good job, if you know what I mean. It's just one of those days with me today. Nothing seems to want to go right, and everything that does go right just seems to basically kick me in the ass. But anyway, what do I have in store for you all this week? Well, I'm going to be talking some Doctor Who. Yes, that's right. Most of the information, or at least the majority of what we can expect for the new season has come out, or at least come to life, at least some decent information. So I'm going to be talking about that. We got a release date, trailer, plot, details, and more for the new Doctor Who that's coming out. Well, I'll explain that. And speaking of Doctor Who, this is actually kind of an interesting topic here. So, and what has to be some Doctor Whovian shit, aliens may be rearranging the stars to fight dark energy, according to some studies. That's like some serious Doctor Who shit there. Dota 2 team has been kicked from the $15 million finals for using a mouse cheat. Now, there is an update to this. I will discuss that when I get into it, but just to say the least, this is actually kind of a sad and strange story, so there is that. The Full Metal Alchemist director is saying that the amount of anime produced should be halved, and I actually have to agree with that, because there's like way too much anime out there to watch. Some sad and somber news as I discuss the finale of the Toys R Us saga, because, surprise, they're now officially closed. All of them closed up yesterday, and it's kind of sad. And speaking of more sad news, authorities are citing the visual novel Doki Doki Literature Club as a possible cause of a UK teen's suicide. So, I mean, this is actually not a good thing. All this, possibly some more stuff, who knows? I mean, it all depends on how time goes and everything else. I mean, I'm basically having everything go against me today, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, you know the song and dance by now. If you're looking for oddities, collectibles, weird stuff, what have you, from throughout the world of the internet, feel free to swing by my eBay page. ARHOADS 2012 on eBay. I have a wide variety of strange things, odd things, weird things, what have you things. Possibly stuff you might need, possibly stuff you don't need, stuff you may not even realize you could have used. Something just to have as a conversation starter. You never know until you try. That's ARHOADS 2012 on eBay. And don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter at Otaku Rhodes. And don't forget to check out the official Web Designer 18 Facebook page on Facebook. Okay, so as I said, it is hot up here. My area is going through a heat wave. We're going to be going through it for at least the next week or so with temperatures in the 90s. And while that's great for the outside world, here's a little tidbit. Whatever the temperature is outside, it's about 10 degrees hotter in my room. So if it's 85 degrees outside, it's 95 degrees in my room. And if it's going to be really super hot outside, it's going to be really, really, really hot in my room. The wonders of living in an old home. Yes. But that's neither here nor there. Today was my grandfather's birthday. My mom and I did something nice for him. He had some relatives and some friends call. I think it was just mostly relatives that called. Wished him a happy birthday. My mom got him some mini cupcakes. She thought he was going to take down some of his buddies at a local garage, but he didn't want to go yesterday. So we're eating them. That's kind of nice. We watched Clifford today. Not a good movie. It's got a bunch of what you'd call B-grade actors in it. It came out in 1994. It's got B-grade actors in it. And the movie, my mom and I were just agreeing, it's like a high C, low B for a grade. It's one of those, watch it if you want to laugh. It's like a dark, twisted type of humor. But watch it if you want to laugh. Otherwise, meh, you can give it a pass. It's not really worth your time. But anyway, how did my week go? Not freaking well. Just to state the obvious, my week did not go well. So, I've been trying to help my uncle get rid of a vehicle for the last few months, and we had somebody come up last week to look at it that was interested in it, and they wanted to come back up then on Monday, see if they could get it started. And I have in the listing that it doesn't start because there's a part on it that needs to be replaced. And they decided, well, we're going to come up, we're going to try it anyway. And after screwing around with it for, I'd like to say, about a good 15-20 minutes, they just threw their hands up in the air, said, no, I'm not interested in it anymore unless he's going to drop the price down to this much, which he's not going to want to do. I kind of got some slack for not trying to really sell the thing in its condition, but there's really not much I can do. It's one of those, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't moments. And that's kind of the way it is. So we had that happen. Let's see, worked on Wednesday. Oh, I scored a character that I was trying to get in Puzzles and Dragons for the longest time, because in that game they give you this really cool, you get a whole bunch of like friend points in that, and after a while they add up and you can use them in the egg machines for some free rolls. And what I did was I usually store them up and wait until they come around to this one particular set, and it came around again, and I spun it yesterday, and lo and behold, I finally got the last piece that I needed, and I'm so happy that I got it. Now I don't know what to do with it. It's one of those, once I get the piece, now I don't know what I can do with it, and it kind of saddens me that I don't know what to do with it now. I don't know if there's like a particular thing I need to do, or if there's like a particular character that I need to use it for. I don't know. It kind of upsets me that I don't know. I'll have to do some research into it, so that's something I can do later this weekend. Other than that, it's been sort of a dull week. Things not going well, things somewhat going well, what have you, ad infinitum, the heat. It's just been one of those weeks. I'm just going to throw it out there. But anyway, enough about how crappy my week's been. You're here for the podcast, not to hear me shoot the shit. So, let's get into it, shall we? It's podcasting time. Alright, so Toys R Us officially shut their doors yesterday on the 29th of June, 2018, after a decent amount of years in business, and fans, friends, and everyone else were just so sad to see it go. And actually, what's funny is that come Thursday night, I was watching an episode or some video that somebody had up on YouTube where they went to their local Toys R Us for one final time. There was like very little left on the shelves, a whole bunch of wrestling toys, some old Power Wheels, which that was like a blast to the past because I never got to have one because I was always too tall for them. My neighbor had one. I tried riding it the one time, and I got scolded because I guess the battery was almost dead, and they didn't have a way to charge it up. It's like, no, park it right back where you found it and walk. It's not that hard. I'm like, oh, I want to have some fun. But anyway, if you go to the Toys R Us website, there was a message on there to everybody, and it's sort of a sad, somber message, but it's true. So the message says, play on. Thanks to each of you who shared your amazing journey to and through parenthood with us. And to every grandparent, aunt, uncle, brother, and sister who's built a couch cushion rocket ship, made up a hero adventure, or invented something gooey, promise us just this one thing. Don't ever grow up, play on. That was the message from Toys R Us, the actual website. It's like a nice little banner. It's a picture thing. It's kind of cool. But another thing that was flopping up around on the net yesterday, which people were getting like reactions on the news and everything was a picture of Jeffrey holding a suitcase and waving goodbye for one final time. And there was like a reaction video from this little girl who's really upset because, you know, now the reality's sinking in that Toys R Us is gone, it's going, Jeffrey's leaving, he's never coming back. He's got like some shades on, a little goofy hat. I want to say it's like a Hawaiian shirt on, and it's just standing in an empty Toys R Us. His suitcase is there, and he's just waving goodbye. And I will admit, it does sink the reality in. It really does. It just nails the reality at home that, hey, it's done, it's over, we're closed. And it's sad. It's going to be sad. It's always going to feel sad. No matter what you do, you know that they're never going to come back. And, I mean, my local Toys R Us that I could have gone to for the longest time, they were open yesterday, but not to the public, so I found out. So I went over to work yesterday morning, and I'm driving. I'm like, well, let me see if there's anything, you know, see if there's like any signs on the door that say, you know, we're closed already, you know, please don't come, thank you for all your fun and games and all that. I pull into their lot, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, huh, there was a sign on the door that said credit cards only, no cash, no debit, no checks. And the only thing they were selling anymore were fixtures. It was like 60% off of fixtures. And when I was leaving, I got done like 9 o'clock yesterday, and I'm leaving, I'm going home, I'm passing by the Toys R Us, and there's a couple moving vans, at least one. I think there was like another one in the parking lot, or one that was pulling out. I don't remember 100% off the top of my head. But I'm like, okay, they were still open yet, and people were just like going in there and buying fixtures and that. And then I found out last night, no, they weren't. Apparently somebody on Twitter had something up. I saw it because it was trending a bit. And I'm looking at it, and they're like, yeah, went to this one, and apparently they were closed at 8 o'clock in the morning already. They were only open to the people who were coming in to pick up the fixtures that they had bought the day before. And it's just, it's sad. It's just a somber moment. You know it's gone. It's never going to come back. And they didn't have much of anything left the last time I went in. Most of their stuff was already gone. And the one thing I was hoping that they would have discounted the most quickly would have been the Legos. And from what I was told, they finally started discounting those maybe like a week or two before they'd finally started shutting down most of their stores around. And all of a sudden it's like, well, then what the hell? Why didn't they bother, you know, discounting these first? That would have been a majority of your inventory gone. And you could have just shut the doors earlier than you planned to and just put the people out of their misery at this point. So, because I feel sorry for the loss of a great institution, I spent the afternoon, my mom can attest to this, at least for a little bit this afternoon, I wrote an ode to Toys R Us. And I'm going to turn it here so I can read it because I still have it written down on a piece of paper. I didn't type it up. I should have typed it. I did not think of it. So, my ode to Toys R Us. The smiles of kids, both old and young, once filled your hollowed halls, your aisles filled with toys and games, just waiting for the day that they'd be taken and played. We walked around and admired the store, often greeted by Jeffrey, employees, and more. And now it's time to say farewell. Our paths split us as we go, yet one thing that shall never go, our memories. Even though you're gone, and we shall never meet again, we will never forget you. Though empty now, your stores will always be a part of us. Because no matter what happens, or where we go, one thing will always remain. We will always be Toys R Us kids. And that's the truth. So, on that note, let's just have a small moment of silence, if we may, for the last great dynasty that existed. If we may, for a moment of silence for Toys R Us. Thank you for everything, Jeffrey. We will never forget anything that you have ever done. Okay, so that was one of the sad topics for this week. So here's the other one. So authorities are citing the visual novel Doki Doki Literature Club as a possible cause of a UK teen's suicide. So last year, American developer Team Salvado released on Steam the visual novel Doki Doki Literature Club. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen or read much about it, but I have heard of it. So, it's actually just a weird thing. So, while the genre tends to be overlooked in the West, Doki Doki Literature Club bucked the trend, praised by everyone from gaming sites like Kotaku and IGN to mainstream publications like GC for the shocking depths of its psychological horror. Now, like I said, the name I've heard of, but I haven't seen or read much of anything about it, but I have heard the name. Unfortunately, though, that positive attention has turned into negative attention as parents, teachers, and police in Manchester, United Kingdom, have begun citing Doki Doki Literature Club as a possible influence in the February suicide of a 15-year-old person. I'm going to omit the name, mostly because I want to give some respect to the deceased here. I really don't want to go too far into this, mostly because I'm just... when it comes to topics like this, you really don't know what to say, because you don't want to come off as too... you don't want to come off as too, okay, you know, I'm really glad for this, or I'm really upset about this. You want to try to keep that neutral ground as best you can. So I'm going to omit the name. So if you want to look it up, I will try my best to find the article. I know that Otaku USA had something up this afternoon, so I will probably put the article in the description below if you want to read more about it. But I just want to get that out there. I'm just going to omit the name. I'm going to really try my best to, you know, go through this very, very respectfully. So I'm going to have this with as much respect as I can. I really do not want to come off like the jawbone of an ass with this, and I do mean that. So the father of the 15-year-old said that he was sketching characters from the game, and that after entering his phone number, the game would wake him up with text messages at odd hours of the night. So here we go. It's free to download, but once you get into it, it will not leave you alone. The characters befriend and love you and give you tasks to do, but if you do not do them, they turn nasty. His concerns were shared by the Manchester Coroner's Office and Greater Manchester Police's Public Protection Division. That's a mouthful. That's almost like SHIELD, Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. You guys got to come up with an acronym for your name. GMPPPD. Yeah. That doesn't really sound too good either. Oh, GMP. That works. GMP have been made aware of an online game called Doki Doki or Doki Doki Literature Club, which is a psychological game. They believe this game is a risk to children and young people, especially those that are emotionally vulnerable and anyone with existing mental health concerns. Being in the horror genre, the game does explore some dark themes, with multiple characters in the game committing suicide. However, fans have been quick to point out that the game explicitly warns multiple times on the Steam store page before you buy it, and I quote, "This game is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Individuals suffering from anxiety or depression may not have a safe experience playing this game. By playing Doki Doki Literature Club, you agree that you are at least 13 years of age and you consent to your exposure of highly disturbing content." So, it's kind of difficult, and I will agree with this. It is a little difficult then to truthfully claim that Team Salvato, or however you pronounce it, were irresponsible with this. Because if you have those warnings out and people just don't read them, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you could literally put on big, bold letters, have it skywrited in the sky, the sun is bad for you if you look directly at it. People are going to look directly at it. It was, there was the Big Bang Theory once said that, Sheldon's mom, I think it was, said that if she wouldn't have told her brother to do something, they wouldn't be calling him Lefty. Because he ended up, I think it was like chopping wood or putting wood in a wood chipper, and he lost his right hand. So, there is that. But, children are curious, but they can get sucked in. And it's true. The characters are clearly designed to drag young lads in. It is a game that needs taking offline and destroying. The kid who committed suicide was intelligent and funny with a great sense of humor. He was a gent, loving, and caring. We just want to find a way, or find out why, and at the moment, it's all pointing to this game. So it's understandable that the father's pissed. It is understandable that multiple other people would be pissed. So it's just really an upsetting thing here. So a lot of this stuff, it's not entirely unheard of. I mean, there was a PlayStation 2 game that literally gave you a psychological type thriller thing where it could mess with your memory card, it would mess with your controller, and it would do it depending on how long you played. In fact, there was actually a character in the game that would actually read your memory card and basically berate you for what you played. So like if there was any other file on there other than the game, all of a sudden the character would go, "Oh, so you've been playing this. You like playing this game, don't you?" And stuff like that. Psychological thriller stuff in video games is not unheard of. However, this is something that I find disturbing myself, because I like a lot of app-based games, and this is not really helping, especially when it comes to Steam-related ones. Because you have that sort of, we want to try to get people to play our games, but at the same time, we don't want to piss them off by having a game that's going to do something that's going to pretty much piss them off and drive them up a tree. But anyway, back with this, authorities are right to warn parents to be aware of the media kids are getting into online. That's been going on for years. You can't, you got to be aware of what your kids are doing online. But here's the thing, and I don't mean this for all parents, but it is kind of true. There are times when parents kind of turn a blind eye because they trust their kids. Okay, you know right from wrong. You know what to do and what not to do. I can trust you. Whether or not that trust and that faith is misplaced is up in the air until it happens. But stuff like that does happen. So they're warning the viewers, though, about its potentially disturbing suicide-laden content. It's providing a link to suicide prevention information but critics, including actual psychologists, continue to argue that there's a very real risk that the show could inspire teens towards suicide. Both situations beg the question whether digital media providers or parents should take more responsibility over the content children are exposed to. Netflix continued to argue with their own right because they had a live-action drama series. See here. Yeah, the situation is not dissimilar to the controversy which stirred over Netflix's live-action drama 13. Reasons why since it debuted last year. So, it's something that happens. You're going to have this stuff. It's going to happen. Do we need a way to enforce it? Yes. That I'm going to flat out agree to. With stuff like this, I would honestly just give it an M rating. Fix it up with some type of a code that you need to input your birthday. and you need to do like two or three different types of verification to vouch and verify this is your birthday, this is how old you are, and then it can figure out, okay, this app isn't for you and instantly uninstall itself, or this game isn't for you and uninstall itself, and then block you from being able to play it. There are things that can do that nowadays, but unfortunately, not a lot of people understand them, not a lot of people want to use them, and a lot of other places don't want to even try to do it because they consider it well, while it could work, at the same time, we're alienating people, and they don't like that. So we're existing in a bit of a lawless zone where viewers need to watch out for themselves with regard to what's safe or appropriate to watch. So, like I said, this is not a good bit of publicity. This is actually kind of a bad thing. It's almost like, and I really hate to compare the two, but it's kind of true. Years ago, when Toonami was still on during the day, there was an article posted from a newspaper up in New York that explained about anime being a massive hindrance to, children because of the violence and the fighting, the back and forth between the characters, that stuff like that was too violent for children. And these were the same people that wanted Power Rangers removed, almost all the Saban stuff taken off the air, any cartoons that had violence in it, which, and I'm going to say this, everything's disturbing in a way. It's just the way we perceive it. Am I going to argue that something like this should find a way to be regulated? No. This is something that, and I will admit this, that we really should figure out a way to regulate. I mean, if this is going to be a game that's easily accessible to everybody, where everybody can download it and play it, then there should be a way to figure out whether or not this is going to be appropriate for them, or really find a way to make it so that only people of a certain age can actually play this thing, to make sure that they can handle it, stuff like that. Demos, I would say try like a demo or something, because then have it like maybe after 3 days the demo will stop working unless you actually get the whole game. Then that can give you an idea, hey, do I really want to do this? And make them actually do the demo before they can actually play the game itself. There's an idea, but yeah, with stuff like this, it's kind of hard to find a way to make it work versus not alienating people. And especially with the World Health Organization recently classifying video gaming addiction as an actual mental illness, and then you have this coming out, the two things could honestly be a massive disaster, depending on how they're done. So, do I think it's a sad thing? Yes. It's very sad. If it's true, and I'm really hoping that it's not, but if it is, not only is it going to be a massive blow to many, many things to come, but on top of that, you're also basically having to be extra careful with everything else. So it's one of those you really don't know how to feel towards it. You want to feel sadness, but you don't know which direction you want to put your sadness towards. So that's what's happened with it. Like I said, if you want to see the whole article, if you want to see more, I will have the Otaku USA version, because I think the one I have is from Anime News Network. I'll try to get them both, but if not, I will have the Otaku USA one in the description below. So feel free to check that out, because it's really a sad sort of deal here. It's not a good thing. It's really not. Alrighty, so are you like me, and do you think that anime is becoming way, way, way too produced? Because if you do, hey, guess what? You're thinking the same way as Full Metal Alchemist director is. So in the era of streaming media, the complaints of having too much to watch is increasingly common. And I have to agree with this, because I watch One Piece because Dragon Ball Super's ended. Every time I turn around, there's like 60 new anime series coming out for every 3 that I've actually managed to watch. They're just coming out of the woodwork like cockroaches in the night. They just come out of everywhere. As shows have shifted from a 24-episode format to a 12-episode format per season, it's easy for studios to try out new ideas, but some feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of new series that are coming out. And God knows I agree with this. Enter anime director Seiji Mitsushima, the director of Full Metal Alchemist and Gundam 00, who has voiced his frustrations on Twitter about the current number of series resulting in a quantity over quality approach throughout the anime industry. And if you want a perfect example of this, I recommend Pop Team Epic. Yes, I got one of those in anyway. He was quoted as saying, and I'm pretty sure it was he was quoted as saying, I wanted to make sure, because sometimes they mess up the article a bit, so I just wanted to make sure before I go any further. He was quoted as saying, I don't think anyone would be worse off if the amount of anime getting made was cut in half. Some directors are even handling 2 shows in the same season, which is an increasingly tough schedule. There's just an excess supply of content, and there are never enough people in the studio to get work done. What is the point of making so much anime? It'd be better to do a proper job of making series one by one. You're not going to get any argument from me, because what having multiple series at once does, besides drive me a batty because now I have to try to figure out where do I want to cut my time, you have so many underpaid people that are doing the work. Like, okay, I got to do this show this week. Okay, I got to go do this show now. I got to quickly do, the drawings of this one. I got to write the script for this one. And so many people are going to be getting overwhelmed. They're getting overworked and everything else. Yeah, I agree. There is way too much anime out there. Now, at the same time, there's the other end of that sword. Because you have, even though there's a lot of anime, you get a decent amount to play with. Yes, I won't deny that. Because you have a lot of different choices that you can make. Okay, do I want to watch something in the action genre? No, I kind of feel like watching a mystery today. Do I want to watch something in the slice of life genre? No, I kind of feel like watching a mech series today. So there's plenty to choose from. The problem is that we're overburdening ourselves with so much of it. The quote continued though, many of Mitsushima's followers replied with similar concerns. One was quoted as saying, yeah, half as many series would be great. I can only watch at maximum like 10 shows a season, and only finish like 6 of them. I liked it better back in the day when one series was 26 to 50 episodes. That was good because you could draw out the story and really sell the plot. Another was saying there are just too many shows. It'd be okay if they were all high quality, but so many are one-season shows that end in, 12 episodes. Then everyone forgets about them before the fan base can build up any foundation. True. I mean, unless, of course, you rewatch it half a dozen times and you end up telling everybody, hey, you gotta check out this series, the era of social media. But yeah, that's true too. Another was quoted as saying, there's no way I can watch them all, and a lot of series have really similar titles and stories. No argument here. I mean, you got My Hero Academia basically having sort of the same plot as Tiger and Bunny. But My Hero Academia has gone on for 3 seasons, while Tiger and Bunny was 1 or 2. Well, at least 1 season of 26 episodes plus 2 movies. Well, 1 recapping the entire series and 1 standalone movie. So, yeah. And they still didn't answer the one question. I mean, they never actually took on and tried to capture the one villain, so there was that. Another one, though, was quoted as saying, I wish they'd go back to how it was in the old days, when one series would run for an entire year. And I agree, there should be fewer series. I want them to have plenty of time to do a good job. With all the time it takes to keep up with what's currently airing, when do people who buy Blu-rays watch them? Which is true. I mean, okay, cool. I just bought an entire series of anime series that I love. I bought the whole Blu-ray box set. It cost me a sweet, sweet penny, but it's worth it. Whoa, 50 new anime series just came out. Oh, and I spent all that money on you. That was my rent money for the month. 50 new anime or make you worth it. 50 new anime or make you... 50 new anime wins. That's honestly what it's coming to. So, a comment format has allowed studios to take a chance on titles like Uma Masume, which likely would have been judged as too niche to bother producing in the old days. While the current format can lead to many series which all seem very similar, sometimes it can have the opposite effect, allowing for unique series that wouldn't have otherwise had a chance. Yes, and it also can confuse the crap out of you and make you go cross-eyed. Like me sometimes. I mean, there are series that you know are going to stand the test of time, that they're going to be more than 12 episodes. And there are some series that I will admit do a good job in 12 episodes. Ride Back, Eden of the East, Manui Kensho, just to name a few. They do a swell job in a 12-episode run. Yes, while some of them I still swear could have gotten a second season and could actually do better if they had more time because they can flesh out the story, and not to mention the fact they can finally close some of the plot holes that they've left wide open that you can drive a Mack truck through. You do have the problems with this happening. But basically, you have too much stuff and not enough people to watch it. It kind of makes me think about that. Too much stuff, not enough space. Space Bag commercial. Or like I feel every day at work. Too much stuff and not enough space. But anyway, yeah, when it comes to this, I have to agree. The amount of anime that's coming out has really got to start getting cut in half. I know that this is how a lot of the studios are making money, and with the online media streaming and everything else, they're figuring, hey, we're going to recap this in no time. Yeah, because you're putting it out there and you're getting paid for the ads. Regardless if somebody's watching it, they're probably subscribing to it, or whatever channel or streaming site you have it on. So if they're subscribed to like Hulu or Crunchyroll, yeah, you're getting paid regardless. So you really don't care. Because, hey, we're still making the money. What the hell do we care? So, it's not a good thing, but while at the same time, it sucks. But I do agree with it. There are way, way too many anime series out there to really make it worthwhile. We need to start cutting them back. It would be a good idea to start cutting back some of the anime series, and maybe, just maybe, we can finally get somewhere and get more decent series and maybe some betterly made ones. Because Pop Team Epic sucks, and that was a anime series. Ugh! God, that came out of Japan. With the world of esports officially becoming more and more prominent every single day, cheating is often going to come about and be a bad thing. And for a team from Dota 2, well, they've been kicked out of the $15 million finals for using a mouse cheat. So esport cheating scandals have been around for a while, like match fixing arrests, and Overwatch hackers being fined almost $10,000, and a PUBG hacker arrested for selling game cheats. Because esports is like a huge thing now. I mean, this is honestly, and in all honesty, I would have loved if this would have existed. I want to safely say this. If this would have existed 12 years ago, I would have jumped on board. I would have wanted to be an esports player, and I could have made that a goal for myself, and I would have probably, I'd probably still be doing it in my 30s. And I'm 28. I would be gladly doing this into my 30s, doing this and just like going to town like, yep, let's do this. Staying up all night, doing massive gameplay. Man, I'd love to be doing that. But anyway, lots of bad things are happening. So, Dota 2 player just got his entire team disqualified from the $15 million tournament by using a programmable mouse. So this is a mouse you can program like different commands, key codes, stuff like that. So according to a report over at Motherboard, I never heard of that before. I mean, I know of motherboards for computers, but I didn't know about the site Motherboard. So that's actually pretty interesting. The organizers of the International 2018 took Peru's Thunder Predator team out of the running. So the Peru's Thunder Predator team. That's a cool name, actually. They're out of the running when they found one of the team members used a Razer mouse configured with the Synapse 3 software tool, which allows users to run preset macros and other things, basically. So, the cheating was discovered when player Auton was able to teleport several characters and several character clones at the exact same time. A move impossible to pull off without a pre-programmed macro. According to Motherboard, the offending team said that no software macros have been used, but that Auton uses a Synapse mouse with a manual configuration to be able to have a better use of hardware. Unfortunately, as awesome as that sounds and as great as their counter was, it still constitutes cheating, according to the tournament organizers, who announced the disqualification on Twitter. Thunder Predator responded on its Facebook page saying that while the decision is irreversible, it would begin preparing for the next Dota 2 Pro Circuit. And the update, though, because there was an update to this, so it more accurately describes the mouse used in the tournament. It's not a Synapse 3 mouse as they originally stated. It is using a Synapse 3 configuration tool, as I actually think I said that. Software tool, yeah. So it's a configuration tool. It's not a Synapse 3 mouse, it's just a configuration tool for it. But anyway, so that kind of sucks. So you can't use a programmable mouse because it's cheating. I understand that. That would almost be like, hey, I'm going to have a really light ball for football and baseball and just really, make it so that I can hit home runs in baseball or throw like 90 yards in football. I understand that. But the fact that they could honestly just go and say, hey, if they're using it manually, and I want to stress that. First off, if they're using it manually, that is some freaking skill right there. So you basically disqualified them for the person having skill. Regardless, I'm going off of the fact of, did they actually use it in a, and I want to stress this, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Did they use this in a auto-programmed way, or did they actually do this manually? If they did it manually, that is some freaking impressive stuff right there. To be able to use a mouse like that manually and be able to control that. But if they use the auto thing, then I'm agreeing with the tournament organizers. It's cheating. But at this point, yeah, it still sucks. At least the team's taking this, though, with their heads held high. They're not really flipping out or protesting, we were wrongfully cheated, things like that. Because, yeah, you admitted to, okay, yeah, our player uses the mouse, but with a manual configuration. But, yeah, okay, we'll still admit, all right, fine, we'll agree with you, it's cheating. But, at least we're not doing it as you claimed we were doing it. They're not, like, flipping out on them going, well, you just got rid of us because we were really good or something like that. They're taking it with a true grain of salt. Although, and let's be honest here, you're probably going to be under a crap ton of scrutiny now. Even if you do get into the next pro circuit, you're liable to be under a crap ton of scrutiny. They're going to probably be watching you like hawks, mostly because of this. Which is a sad thing, but it's true. Because, let's face it, not everything in the world goes the way you hope it will. And even though, okay, we're going to prepare for the next pro circuit, the thing is that you were caught cheating. they're going to be watching you like a hawk now, because in their eyes, this team cheated before, they might do it again. Regardless if you did or not, you're still going to be under that scrutiny. You're going to have to dot all your I's, cross all your T's to make sure that you are one step ahead of them, so that they don't just up and say, nope, you're cheating, you're disqualified again and banned for life. So it's stuff like that you got to be careful for. But otherwise, esports is still booming pretty well. I'm kind of enjoying it. Like I said, I wish it would have been around years ago. When I was still in high school, I probably would have tried my best for an esports. I probably would have, no, honestly, I probably would have tried starting up an esports team in my school, and then realizing that my classmates don't really like me that much. Yeah, that wouldn't have worked out too well. But still, would have been nice to try. Alright, so straight out of some Doctor Who-esque shit here, we have a strange study coming to us from Live Science. So apparently, aliens may be rearranging the stars to fight dark energy. So apparently, how to dominate the universe in 3 easy steps. Harvest all your planet's resources, harvest all your nearby stars' energy, and harvest all the energy from all the stars in your local galaxy, and then move on to the next one. Congratulations! Your species now has all the elbow room it needs to grow into a universal superpower. But a Russian astronomer, perspective anyway, on that. I am not even about to try to pronounce the astrophysicist's name. It's Nikolai Kardashev, I want to say. First proposed these 3 phases called level 1, 2, and 3 of galactic expansion, which he referred to as the 3 types of technologically advanced civilizations. In 1962, as a way to measure the energy consumption of increasingly powerful societies, recently a paper posted on June 13th to the preprint journal arxiv.org has revived Kardashev's model and added a new apocalyptic twist: 13 ways to hunt intelligent aliens. Oh god. So this, like I said, this is getting some like Doctor Who-esque shit here. It really is. So according to the author of the paper, Dan Hooper, a senior scientist at the Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory in Illinois, oh great, and a professor of astronomy and astrophysics at the University of Chicago. Oh, you're really helping yourself here. Harnessing energy from distant stars isn't just the best way to increase a civilization's available resources, it's also the only way to prevent the environment or the ever-expanding universe from leaving that civilization totally alone in the vastness of space. This study is yet to be peer-reviewed. I wonder why. This has crackpot written all over it. The presence of dark energy in our universe is causing space to expand at an accelerating rate. Hooper wrote in the new paper, over the next approximately 100 billion years, the stars beyond our local group, or a group of gravitational-bound galaxies, that includes the Milky Way, will fall beyond the cosmic horizon, meaning an observer here could never retrieve information from them over the course of the age of the universe. Huh? Okay, at that point, the stars become not only unobservable, but entirely inaccessible, thus limiting how much energy one day be extracted from them, Hooper wrote in the paper. So we're suddenly going to be starting to grab energy from stars, huh? Okay. In other words, if humans hope to meet aliens in distant galaxies, you know, like the Vulcans, the Klingons, the Daleks, the Saltarans, Cybermen, things like that, the Adipose. I'm also just start randomly saying science fiction alien races here because we're basically getting to that point in this. It'll be a race against dark energy, that mysterious force thought to be uncontrollable, stretching our universe further and further apart. Oh, God. Any advanced civilization, though, worth their starships would understand the grim reality of universal expansion. And they wouldn't just sit around idly while the universe literally passed them by. Rather, they would capture stars from other galaxies, reel them in, and harvest their energy first, before those stars and their energy became inaccessible forever. And this is titled 12 Possible Reasons Why We Haven't Found Aliens! This just goes on and on and on and on and on like this. Did this person just like hope to write for Doctor Who someday, or hope to create their own science fiction show? I mean, this is some Doctor Who-esque shit here. Given the inevitability of the encroaching horizon, any sufficiently advanced civilization that is determined to maximize its ability to utilize energy will expand throughout the universe, attempting to secure as many stars as possible before they become permanently inaccessible. Do you... the person who wrote this, let me scroll back up, get your name here. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Okay, to Dan Hooper, who wrote this wonderful, wonderful piece of science fiction garbage. I have just one question to ask. What are you smoking, and are you sharing? Because if you're not sharing, I'm not caring. Because this honestly just boggles my mind as idiocy run amok. I'm sorry. So how do you lasso a star in the first place? Well, I'm guessing you just make a giant rope like they wanted to do in that one movie, just lasso the moon and drag it down. Or you can be like Bruce Almighty, get the power of a deity, and just chuck an invisible lasso up there, bringing it closer to the Earth to impress your girlfriend. So, you make a giant net. This is how you lasso a star. You make a giant net around it. You just throw a giant net around it. This net, though, wouldn't be made of twine or metal, but of satellites. A swarm of millions of solar-powered satellites, known as Dyson spheres. I'm guessing the Dyson Corporation is going to have a huge stake in this one. Such a colossal cloud of harvesters could permanently hover around a star, beaming energy back to a nearby planet. Or as Hooper proposed in his new paper, actually use that star's energy to accelerate the whole ball of fire back towards the planet they wanted to use it. That wanted to use it, I should say. This may seem like a tall order for humans who are still bumbling around level 1 of the Kardashev scale. Carl Sagan placed us at about a 0.7 in 1973. But some scientists think there could be alien civilizations thousands or even millions of years older than ours who are already well into their level 3 star harvesting phase. I'm sorry. I have to laugh at this. I'm sorry. This is hilarious as hell. This is funny. And if another civilization has indeed begun rearranging the stars, it may not be long before Earthlings notice them. Sure, I'm just going to look up in the sky and go, whoa, wait a minute. Why does Orion suddenly have a giant wing? And they're rearranging some stars up there. Why does the Big Dipper suddenly look like it's missing part of itself? Oh, God. Those stars that are currently en route to the central civilization could be visible as a result of the propulsion that they are currently undergoing. Such acceleration would necessarily require large amounts of energy and likely produce a significant fluxes of electromagnetic radiation. I swear to God, if you're saying that this is why we have shooting stars in the sky, I am gonna freaking lose it. Oh, God. This is hilarious. Seriously, take your paper, submit it to the BBC. They have got they can make an entire season of Doctor Who out of this. You know, bring David Tennant back and have him handle this. Oh, God. Oh, God, I'm loving this. But wait, folks, as the late Billy Mays would say, there's more. Redecorating the galaxy. Beyond watching for those stars being dragged unceremoniously across distant galaxies, astronomers could also keep an eye out for the unusual galaxies that have had their prime stars ripped away from them. These hypothetical star-harvesting aliens would probably be picky. Teeny tiny stars, hundreds of times smaller than Earth's sun, wouldn't produce enough radiation to be useful. Significantly larger stars, on the other hand, would likely be too close to going supernova to be used as a viable battery. Only stars with a mass about 20 to 100 times the mass of our sun would be viable candidates for capturing and hauling back to the home galaxy. And because solar objects in that mass range radiate certain wavelengths of light more than others, alien star harvesting would show up in the light signatures from these galaxies. Oh, God. The spectrum of starlight from a galaxy that has had its useful stars harvested by an advanced civilization would be dominated by massive stars, and thus peak at longer wavelengths than otherwise would have been the case. Humans likely don't have precise enough instruments yet to detect these unusual light signatures beaming from the depths of the universe. Hopefully, astronomers will develop them before our sun becomes another flaming marble in some distant civilization's collection. I don't mean to laugh at this, because I mean, this person probably put a lot of thought and effort into this. But for God's sake! Oh, God! Make it stop! I mean, seriously, it's just so damn funny. So apparently, if you suddenly see, or if we ever build the technology to be able to see massive streaks of light shooting through the sky, we know that they're harvesting other stars. And if some morning you wake up and the sun doesn't rise, well, that means that it's probably either gone supernova and blacked out, or it's been swiped by some alien energy harvesters, and we are now currently screwed. You know what? Get Optimus Prime and his flying jetpack, and we'll just go and save the day that way. Because, for God's sake, I can't believe this actually got... If this actually gets published, if this gets peer-reviewed, and they look at this and go, yes, you have a wonderful theory, we want to talk more about it, I think we, as regular human beings, can officially throw our hands up in the air and go, that's it! Where's the closest space shuttle off this dirt ball? We're out of here. The intelligent people have become idiotic. Hello, idiots are now intelligent. Okay, folks. All people that have an IQ this high or have some intelligence to them, board this shuttle. Everybody that has intelligence higher than this level, get on this shuttle. If you are holding a field in science or something else, just stay where you are. We're bringing another shuttle back for you. We can only build 2 of them. But honestly, though, Dan Hooper, I would like to know one thing before I go. Like I said before, what are you smoking? Because I want to hallucinate just like that. I mean, if we can all hallucinate like that, we can all be happy and just prance around every single day. I mean, what are you smoking, and are you sharing it? Because if you're not sharing it, I don't give a crap what you're selling. Holy crap. mean, is there air conditioning in your world? What's it like in your world? Is it comfortable? Is there like a whole bunch of happy like aliens coming down in spaceships holding the peace sign saying take me to your leader? I mean, like I said, in all seriousness, I don't mean to poke fun, because I've had some crackpot ideas myself. But honest to God, I want to know where you came up with this. I mean, did you just like stay up one night, accidentally watch too much Doctor Who, and then suddenly go, oh, hey, that could happen to us. Here, I've created a theory. Alright, so if your theory becomes reality, I will be the first one to admit, okay, you were a genius, but otherwise, I'm just going to agree with everybody else that's probably thinking you're some sort of a crackpot. Like many of those people that usually stand in street corners in cities that say the world is coming to an end, or the end is near. But, oh, God. I'm sorry, it's just too funny. Well, speaking of some Doctor Who stuff, Season 11's got the release date, trailer, plot details, and more that have finally come out. So, in just a few months, Doctor Who fans are going to be climbing aboard the TARDIS for another season of the long-running British science fiction show. Ah, yes, my favorite Doctor, David Tennant, the 10th Doctor. No one will ever be able to fill his shoes, in my opinion. I'm sorry. So, this season is just about everything's new with it. The logo, the companions, the showrunner, and notably the Doctor herself. Because this is the first time in the 55-year history of the show that the main character is going to be played by a woman. Jodie Whittaker has got the role of the 13th Doctor. She's going to be playing the role that's changed hands so many times throughout the character's ability to regenerate into a new body instead of just dying. They did that to give the show longevity because the original Dr. Peter Hartnell, or Peter, no, it was William Hartnell. Thank you. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, William Hartnell was getting on in years. He couldn't keep doing the show. So this was a, hey, you know, when they're ready to call it quits, we can still do the show. Hey, they regenerate. Doctor Who ran for a longest time up to the 7th Doctor in the original stuff that was like back in the 70s and early 80s and late 60s. Then it went to a lovely hiatus, not exactly a welcomed one. We had the crappy made-for-TV movie here in the US, which sucked ass. Then we had the there was like a Night of the Doctor or something, explaining how the Doctor became the War Doctor. So technically Jodie Whittaker is actually the 14th Doctor if you count the War Doctor, 13th if you don't count the War Doctor. So there is that. It came back in 2005 with Christopher Eccleston taking on the mantle of the iconic time-traveling Gallifreyan Time Lord. And he was replaced after his one and only year, which, by the way, if you ever want to get the Christopher Eccleston collection, it's very easy to get. It's one season. One season, that's it. He was replaced by David Tennant. By David Tennant, my all-time favorite Doctor, who was the 10th Doctor, who lasted for a good 3, count them 3, which I own every single David Tennant Doctor Who episode, minus the Day of the Doctor, because if I get that, I'm just being anal. No, seriously, I mean, I could get it if I want to go anal on it, but I pretty much have the David Tennant collection of Doctor Who stuff. Unless he returns and reprises his role, I pretty much have the David Tennant collection. So whether you're totally caught up or you got sucked into a pocket universe, here's a rundown of everything we know so far about the upcoming season. So, for those unfamiliar, the Doctor dates back to 1963. It's a long-running show of aliens called the Doctor, of an alien called the Doctor. We don't know his actual name, although it was hinted at that River Song, who's Amelia Pond's daughter, which the TARDIS can't translate what her actually, yeah. Let me explain. River Song is actually named Melody Song, or Melody Pond. But because the TARDIS translates everything for the Doctor, it could not translate those two words and named her River Song instead. She's Amelia Pond's daughter, who the 11th Doctor met, and she's like the only one that knows his name. We do not know it. Besides a little guy in a box with a blue head, we don't know the name. At least I assume he does. I don't know. But anyway, the Doctor travels through his time-traveling, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey police box called the TARDIS, which stands for, everybody say it with me now, Time and Relative Dimension in Space. TARDIS. Which he ironically stole to escape from Gallifrey because he was sick and tired of their way of doing things. He wanted to go out and see the universe. The TARDIS is bigger on the inside. It can go from decade to decade because the Doctor is a Time Lord for the planet Gallifrey. The Time Lords have the power to regenerate. So the actor feels like splitting the show or gets pushed out in the case of, I want to say, Colin Baker, because a lot of people wanted his ass out. The Doctor gets a new face and some new personality quirks, but theoretically the character is the same person, which is true, sad, strange, but true. There was thought to be a cap on however many times the Doctor could regenerate. It was supposed to be 12. The Doctor would only have 12 regenerations, and technically he would have had enough to regenerate one more time, but during the 10th Doctor's era, David Tennant's incarnation actually used one of those regenerations to heal himself. So because of that, he used up one of the regenerations to keep himself around a little longer. So when Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, I want to say the worst, regenerated into Peter Capaldi, it was because the Time Lords granted him a new set of regenerations. 12 brand new regenerations, pretty much as a, okay, we admit you're the thing that we need to protect the universe. As long as you're out there, the universe has some type of protection. Here you go, 12 more regenerations. Good luck. Don't come to us again. Although, let's face it, we probably will have another one because you figure we've only used up 2 of those regenerations now, so we got 10 more to go. Along the way, the Doctor meets companions that travel with him back in time, into the far-flung reaches of the past, into the universe, to save people and everything else. Dealing with some of the minor grips with villains, like the Daleks, Cybermen, the Weeping Angels, and others, that range from campy to creepy to just plain cute and adorable like the Adipose. So, it's also a British institution and a staple of Saturday night television. Stateside has picked up quite a bit of popularity in recent years after the series was rebooted in 2005 with the 9th Doctor, played by Christopher Eccleston, who only lasted for one season. So, you can expect Doctor Who to start back up in the fall. When exactly, though, the BBC has not yet said. Though we can probably assume it's going to be Christmas, because the Doctor seems to like starting and ending on Christmas specials. At least starting on Christmas specials at best. Ending on it this time around was, I think, Peter Capaldi's idea, or their idea, to give him one last little romp, so that they could just kind of like throw a happy little ending in there. But otherwise, they usually like to start them off in the Christmas specials. I don't know why. It makes no sense. I think Matt Smith's was the only one that didn't do that yet out of the newer ones, and Christopher Eccleston's. Don't quote me. But yeah, you have that. But we haven't got an exact release date yet, but they are saying it's supposed to be sometime in fall. IMDb lists 10 episodes for the season. You can catch it on BBC America or stream older episodes on the usual spots like Amazon, iTunes, and Google Play. So, the cast for this season is going to be Jodie Whittaker, Bradley Walsh, Mandip Gill and Toshin Cole, never heard of any of them. If there's one thing you can count Doctor Who for, it's the periodic refresh of the cast. After the 12th Doctor, played by Peter Capaldi, announced he'd be leaving after his 3 seasons were up, talks started swirling about who was going to get the keys to the TARDIS next. Back in July of last year, they announced that Jodie Whittaker would get the gig, and it was one of the most epic reveals ever, I have to admit that. So, there was a... Okay, so Jodie Whittaker was quoted as saying, "It feels completely overwhelming as a feminist, as a woman, as an actor, as a human, as someone who wants to continually push themselves and challenge themselves and not be boxed in by what you're told you can and can't be," she said in a Q&A with the BBC site for Doctor Who. Now, fans, though, have been going crazy because they've been wanting a female Doctor Who for the longest time, and then I think I talked about this or touched upon this at one point. The fans have been wanting a female Doctor for the longest time. Then when they finally got one, there were fans that were going, why are we changing this up now? And they were the exact same fans who were arguing we need a female Doctor Who. So, yeah. You know, that's the whole thing there. So, but a woman Doctor should not come as a complete surprise. Over the years, there have been a handful of hints that Time Lords could regenerate and change genders. The 6th season of the reboot, Matt Smith's Doctor referenced another Time Lord called the Corsar, who had regenerated into a woman. Most recently, though, you also had the Master, the friend/nemesis of the Doctor, yeah, it's complicated, regenerated into Missy. So, it is possible. Not to mention that there was the one council member on Gallifrey that Peter Capaldi's character shot at the end of the one season, and he regenerated into a female. So, you know, okay, they can change their genders. We know that. So, it's not exactly a bad thing. I'm actually kind of interested to see what happens in a way. Though, in all honesty, it's going to be one of those, I'm going to have to wait until I can find, like, clips online, because I can't watch it online, because you have to, like, sign in and do a whole bunch of stuff and pay to see some of them, so it's not really worth it to, I'll just watch the clips. It'll just give me the same excitement. But let's not forget, though, that Doctor Who this season is also getting a new showrunner, Chris Chibnall, who's written for shows like the BBC drama Broadchurch and the Doctor Who spin-off Torchwood. He's taking over for Stephen Motaff, who has left the show as well. Chinalb's written episode for the sci-fi series in the past, so he's not a stranger to the show. And what's more, he's worked with Whittaker on Broadchurch. Broadchurch also stars former Doctor Who star, my all-time favorite Doctor Who, by the way, my all-time favorite Time Lord, the 10th Doctor himself, David Tennant. Yes, that's right. All hail the 10th Doctor, the greatest of them all. Bow before him, I'm telling you. He was the greatest Doctor, no one can ever fill his shoes. Throughout the seasons, though, the Doctor has tended to travel with companions who often abandon the world they know when they get a glimpse of life zipping through the cosmos, saving the day. Some have become friends, emotional anchors, and even love interests, ethical compasses, and served as moral companions. The Doctor is always confronted with the problem of getting attached to a companion who don't always survive their adventures, though. Because you had Clara, who died. Sadly, she was killed by the Raven. Then the Doctor went to hell and back to literally bring her back to life. You had the one from last season who was turned into a Cyberman, who sadly she didn't make it. She was killed off. So many more. Some he's had to wipe the memories of, like Donna Noble. Some he's lost in a different dimension, like Rose Tyler. Some have left and gone their separate ways. The original Doctor Who's Peter Davison, who played the 5th Doctor, he lost a companion that died on an exploding ship. So you lose a lot of them. here's what we know, though, about the plot. So, at the end of the 2017 Christmas special, Peter Capaldi had regenerated into Whittaker after a monologue about the importance of being kind, choosing love, and never eating pears. When Whittaker, as the 13th Doctor, gets a first look at her reflection, she utters, "Oh, brilliant," with a big smile, but her joy is short-lived, though, as the TARDIS begins careening out of control, and she gets sucked out as a fireball seemingly consumes the interior. Presumably, the Doctor will figure out a way to break her free fall and get her ride back. Otherwise, we don't know much about the plot for the upcoming season, which it's kind of sad. I mean, that the trailers, that's pretty much been out for a while now, so they could have at least given us that. There have been some speculations, though, about some of the upcoming episodes will be historical, with one even relating to Rosa Parks. There's also been some chatter that the season could be built around a singular storyline. While speaking to the Royal Television Society in June of 2017, Chibnall was asked if the BBC would allow such a thing, and he responded, yes. What the BBC was after was risk and boldness. So, that's pretty much all we know so far, but the Doctor Who cast is set to appear at the San Diego Comic-Con in July, where they expect the announcement of the premiere date, a hopeful trailer for the season, and probably some freaking information would be nice, might come out. The 13th Doctor also appeared briefly in comic form, getting a one-page introduction. More stories are on the way from Titan Comics, and the BBC are also partnering on a 3-part comic series called Road to the 13th Doctor, which is slated to come out this July. Chris Hardwick, formerly of the Nerdist podcast, was supposed to moderate the panel at the San Diego Comic-Con, but has since pulled out amid allegations of emotional abuse and sexual abuse from his ex-girlfriend, which he has denied. So, for those of you that are looking forward to going to Comic-Con out in San Diego, the Doctor Who cast should be there. If David Tennant's there, tell him I say hi. Tell him he's my favorite all-time Doctor, because I'm never going to get out to San Diego. So let him know, David Tennant, you are my favorite Doctor. You honestly are. You always will be. No one will ever be able to fill your shoes. I'm sorry. No one will ever be able to fill your CrossFit shoes that you wore as the 10th Doctor. You were the best. I'm sorry, but it's true. You were the best. Because as you said to Peter Davison in that special that was made, because you were my Doctor. And that's true. Because you were the best Doctor there was, and you were the one that I liked the most. So, thank you so much. But in all honesty, I actually am kind of looking forward to the new Doctor Who season coming out. It might be kind of cool. I'm kind of interested. Want to know what's going to happen. So hopefully we'll get some information from San Diego Comic-Con when that happens. Hopefully. So yeah, we have that to look forward to. Alright everybody, well, that's going to do it this week for the Absolutely Completely Random Podcast. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in this week. Don't forget, if you have any topics that you'd like me to talk about, feel free to send me the topics either here on my YouTube channel, so long as the discussion section stays up, on my podcast email, which is acrpodcast@gmail.com, all lowercase, by the way. You can also send them to me via Twitter @OtakuRoads, or drop them onto the official Web Designer 18 Facebook page. And also, do not forget, the 2nd anniversary of the podcast is coming up this September. And as a thank you to my fans, I decided to do a Q&A video. That's right. So don't forget, you have until August 18th to drop any questions that you would like to have me answer here on, well, I shouldn't really say on the podcast, it's going to be a standalone video. So if you want to hear my answers to questions that you have burning in your mind, feel free to send them. Just keep in mind, I will not answer anything that's political or religious. So both of those categories are officially out. Anything else, I'm willing to try to answer as best I can. So, until next time, I'm Andrew Rhodes, and this has been the Absolutely Completely Random Podcast.